All right, so the conspiracy theorists have been proven right again, in a way, I guess, in that New Zealand basically announced that they're having these quarantine camps for people that refuse to quarantine. And again, for a lot of people, they hear that and they're like, oh, that's reasonable. Like, that's reasonable. But again, they have no idea how history works, how anything works, to be honest, because it never starts with that, right? I mean, I don't like using this comparison because it's a little hyperbolic usually, but during World War II, it you didn't go from perfectly normal to the gas chambers overnight. That's not how it worked. It was step by step. This is how they desensitize people to this stuff. It's always get people to believe a little lie. Like, it's just compromise your morals, your ethics just a little bit. That's how they get away with it, because the minute that they know that you can compromise yourself a little bit, I don't know why it changed here. The minute that they know that you can compromise things a little bit, that's when they know that they can get you to do pretty much anything if they take it step by step. Like I say, that's when they know that they can get you to do pretty much anything. So, like I say, the conspiracy theorists have been proven right again. And another crazy thing, and I think the craziest thing of this whole situation is, um, this was something that's been called the conspiracy theory. And the funniest thing about it, I think, is um, they they're very open about it. They're very open about it. Like in the CBC article I talked about, I don't know when it was, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. They admit in the article that they exist. Like, they admit in the article that they exist. What they don't tell you, or sorry, what they're just very misleading with people. The title is designed, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, but yet at the end of the article they admit that they exist. So again, they're relying upon the stupidity of the average person. It's like the whole Great Reset situation, right? In that, Justin Trudeau said it on live television. Klaus Schwab literally wrote a book about it, but yet the mainstream media and Justin Trudeau turns around and calls it a conspiracy theory. Like, this is how stupid they think the average person is, that they can literally say something on live, national television. The video can be viewed tens of millions of times. Like I say, Klaus Schwab writes a book about it, and yet it's called a conspiracy theory. Like, this is where we're at in society, and I think it's absolutely insane that that's where we're at. That the elites generally believe, maybe they don't believe, but they know that it's more likely than not that they can get away with it, and that they can say something, can be viewed tens of millions of times, and yet they can turn around and call it a conspiracy theory, and the majority of people will believe that. Like, that's how dumb they believe the average person is. So, like I say, I think that's the most astounding thing about it. And again, the next most astounding thing is just how many quote unquote conspiracy theories have turned out to be right. Like, this is the kind of thing that really bothers me, is that the quote unquote conspiracy theories, are the people that accuse other people of doing it, are oftentimes just as bad. And by that I mean, like, the mainstream media types and all that kind of stuff. Again, like, they'll make fun of people like Alex Jones, but yet they'll turn around and push Russia collusion and the WMD lie and just all the complete garbage that the mainstream media pushes, right? Like, the WMD lie, like that lie that got the states into, and Canada, I think, to a degree as well, into the Middle East. That's caused the deaths of what, like 1 million people. Like, again, like, has any quote unquote conspiracy theory that Alex Jones has pushed, has that got anyone killed? No, no. Like, I mean, some people may argue that, but even if you want to argue that, it's still like comparing, peanuts to. It's like comparing Mike Tyson to a 4-year-old girl. Like, it's completely different universes. So this is the thing that I think it's one of the most astounding things about humans these days, is how people can hold such entirely contradictory world beliefs, how people can, the mental gymnastics that people can play, and yet still look themselves in the mirror and be like, yeah, I got a perfectly honest and objective worldview. Like, it just really boggles my mind. Now, again, I have a fairly good idea of why people believe what they believe and believe this kind of stuff. I mean, the first and obvious one being too is people want to be well liked. I mean, that going against the grain throughout history and from an evolutionary perspective usually got people killed. So that's why people that they just want to they usually just blindly believe what other people are doing. Well, I mean, you take the whole mask thing. We were told not to wear masks and everybody went along with it. Now we're told to wear masks and pretty much everyone went along with it, right? So again, people would just go along to get along. And I think there's some other things going on here too in that it's a tribal thing. People are also incredibly tribal. It's my team versus your team, and I don't view it as that either. Like I don't view it as that either. Number one, because I was wrong about some of this stuff looking back on it, largely because I bought into this to a small degree. Um, but that's the big problem. Like this is the big problem. Why do people believe this kind of stuff? And again, it is almost entirely a tribal thing. It has nothing to do with right versus wrong. It has nothing to do with the virus. It has everything to do with being tribal and the other psychological aspects behind it. Because again, if it was about reducing the spread of the virus and saving lives and all this garbage, everybody would have been against the BLM protests, right? Like, we had in Alberta, we had I think it was what was it the pro gun protest, and also I think there was an anti-lockdown protest prior to George Floyd, and they were viciously vilified. Literally like a day or two before the George Floyd protest, they had that gathering in that park in Toronto, and Doug Ford it just rips those people a new one, but yet, a guy dies of a drug overdose and the entire world goes insane, and all of a sudden nobody cares about social distancing or gathering size or literally any restrictions whatsoever. Again, it was never about a virus. It never will be about the virus. It is entirely political. It is entirely political. The only way that you can look at someone with a straight face or look at me with a straight face and have me take you seriously when it comes to this is that I'll still disagree with you. But if you weren't against the Black Lives Matter protests, at least to some degree, I don't care whether or not you think BLM is a noble cause or not. It doesn't matter, because the same people are saying we can't even have a justification to have a Christmas dinner together, right? Like, getting to see your family at Christmas is a little bit more important than a handful of unarmed black people that are killed by police every year. Like, come on, come on. It's just absolute insanity that's going on these days. So again, like I say, to sum it up, conspiracy theorists were right again. The conspiracy theorists were right again. And again, it's a following trend too, in that if you understand, one of the best ways of understanding this stuff is you have to learn to follow the trends. The trends when it came to this whole situation are incredibly clear. It's incredibly clear in that the government and the group of paranoid delusional Karens, their solution to every new issue that comes up with this situation is just more of the same. Like, it's more of the same. It doesn't matter how many cases there is, right? Like, it doesn't matter how many. I mean, you look at the province of, was it Nova Scotia or New Brunswick? They had like literally one active case in the whole province, and they mandated masks. It has nothing to do with this. It has absolutely nothing to do with this. Um, and I think the last aspect I wanted to bring up, now that I come to think of it, is the people that are all worried about fascism and all this stuff when it comes to Kenny and Trump and all these kind of people, and that they don't have a legitimate argument. Like, they just disagree with them politically, and they don't actually have a good argument against the actual points and the beliefs that these people have. So they have to resort to this, oh, you're a racist and you're a fascist and all this kind of stuff. And again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If this is the best argument you can come up with, like, just imagine if whenever someone came into a debate with someone on Justin Trudeau, and the only thing they ever said was, "Oh, he's a commie," right? He's a commie. That's the only thing that they said. He would be laughed out of the room, and rightfully so. Even though Justin Trudeau has admitted to being a commie sympathizer, right? With the whole China's the greatest country in the world, right? Again, so it would be a lot easier to make that argument if you wanted to make that argument, but nonetheless, Justin Trudeau has plenty of policy positions that you can point towards to debate on. He has plenty of beliefs that are absolutely insane. So again, like, it's just a very simple thing to point out too, that again, they were never worried about fascism. It is entirely designed to push their political agenda. This is what people, I think that it really astounds me how people don't figure this out, is that evil people, or at the very least people that are looking to manipulate you, will always hijack noble causes, or at the very least latch on to a noble cause to push their political worldview. And the other thing that they do is they always demonize the other side, and then, oh, if you don't want the lockdowns and the mask mandates, you want people to die, right? You want the old people to die. No, find me one example of someone straight up saying that. And this is the thing that really bothers me too, is that these people have genuinely spent no time whatsoever outside their echo chamber. So again, this is why this stuff is so polarizing. This is why things have, we've came to such a, hell in a handbasket situation that, it's impossible to have honest dialogue these days. Like, it's impossible to have honest dialogue because we have one side that's so hyperbolically delusional, it's not even funny. And there is some bad people or some people that don't have great intentions on the anti-lockdown side. Like there's the people that, the virus doesn't exist at all. Like I think the evidence personally I think is rather clear that the virus does exist. Rather, it's just grossly exaggerated, that being the severity of the virus. It is a slightly worse version of the flu. I think the evidence is very clear and that the death rate is pretty much the same. And not to mention, I mean, you can argue that it's slightly more likely to spread. The difference being is that we have no idea what the actual case numbers are. We have no idea because we know that at least half of them are false positives. So if Canada had, I don't know how many cases we're up to now, but anyway, if an area has 100,000 cases, no more than 50 of those are actual cases. Like no more. I think the numbers are clear that I think we're definitely the clear majority are false positive, and not to mention too, a lot of the ones that are positives are asymptomatic cases, which don't need to be worried about. The actual number of cases we need to be worried about is like 5-10% of the actual ones, right? So again, like that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out those links below. Follow me on those other platforms. If you want to donate, you can do that as well. Again, I appreciate whatever support I can get. But again, if people want to change the way things are going right now, you need to support people that are out there speaking the truth as much as you can. So again, I appreciate whatever support I can get. Like I say, do whatever you can. And like I say, stay tuned for more.